981 millibar low pressure. That's not a typo. And in 40 seconds, I'm going to show you why this could trigger the most intense winter pattern we've seen all season. The models just flipped. 12 hours ago, Pennsylvania was looking at 2 inches. Now, 6 to 8 inches. And that's not even the big story. What's developing for Thursday is something meteorologists call extreme. A low-pressure system so intense, it rivals major coastal storms. Except this one is forming over Minnesota. Temperature swings of 30 to 40 degrees. Arctic blasts followed by warm-ups followed by more Arctic air. This back-and-forth pattern doesn't just make forecasting difficult, it creates something far more concerning: instability. And instability breeds powerful storms. Here's what the European model showed this afternoon that should grab your attention. Moderate snow still falling across the mid-Atlantic and northeast. But watch what happens in the next 72 hours. The pattern doesn't settle, it intensifies. As promised at 40 seconds, here's why that 981 millibar low matters. At the 3-minute mark, I'll show you which states face the highest storm risk. But first, you need to understand what we're seeing. This winter has developed a trend, a concerning trend. Within the last 24 hours before a snow system arrives, amounts keep jumping higher. We saw it with the last storm. Pennsylvania west of Philadelphia picked up 6 to 8 inches when models showed much less just a day earlier. We're seeing it again now. And this pattern of last-minute intensification is continuing. Tonight, southeastern Virginia drops into the upper teens. Inland areas, single digits. Further north, well below zero in spots. This is the coldest air of the season for many locations. But cold air alone doesn't create monster storms. It's what comes after the cold that matters. Tomorrow afternoon shows very cold conditions continuing. The northwest gets a storm system bringing mountain snow and lower elevation rain. The Great Lakes and Northeast see plenty of lake effect snow as Arctic temperatures continue. Standard winter pattern so far. Nothing unusual yet. Tuesday brings a clipper system moving through. When the trough in the east relaxes, storm tracks shift northward along the jet stream. This is textbook meteorology. In our previous pattern, these systems would slide underneath and miss most populated areas. But the jet stream is relaxing, and that changes everything. Wednesday shows less activity in the east. Temperatures cool down compared to Tuesday. But pay attention to what's developing out west. A major storm system forms over the mountainous regions. Very intense. This is the setup phase for what comes next. Here's what I promised at 3 minutes, and this is critical. Thursday, the 18th, brings a significant low-pressure system. And when I say significant, I mean extreme. 981 millibars between Minnesota and Canada. To put that in perspective, that's the kind of pressure reading you see with major coastal nor'easters. Except this is happening in the north-central states. Canada gets buried in snow. The northern plains and Midwest see heavy snowfall. But here's the twist that most forecasts won't mention. We're also watching for thunderstorms and severe weather across the deep south and possibly the Midwest. When intense Arctic air collides with warm, humid air, you get massive instability. Winter severe weather events do occur, and this setup has all the ingredients. At the 6-minute 30 mark, I'll break down the severe weather threat. But first, the progression. This system moves toward the eastern states, bringing very intense Arctic air with it for the 18th and 19th. Back and forth. We see a milder push, then Arctic air rushes right back in. With the primary low pressure to the north, the east unfortunately sees minimal snow chances. Most precipitation stays out ahead of the system. Unless you're at very high elevations, you might only see a quick blast of snow. The colder air lasts a couple days. Another Canadian system moves through. Cold air makes another comeback after the 20th. Then we get pretty flat jet stream flow near Christmas. Some colder air up north, milder conditions down south. This is transient flow, very flat from west to east. Not ideal for big East Coast storms during this period. But after Christmas, that's when things get interesting again. And at the 9-minute mark, I'll show you why the post-Christmas period could be historic. As promised, at 6:30, here's the severe weather breakdown. Thursday evening into Friday, when that 981 millibar low is at peak intensity, warm air surges northward ahead of the system. Cold air crashes in behind. Where they meet, you get explosive storm development. Damaging winds are possible. Heavy rain in some areas. And yes, even isolated tornadoes can't be ruled out in December when setups are this volatile. The The Deep South needs to pay attention Thursday evening. The Midwest needs to watch Friday morning. This isn't a typical winter quiet period. This is active, potentially dangerous in spots. Now, here's what happens with temperatures, and this is where the insane part comes in. After this Thursday system passes, we don't settle into one pattern. We oscillate. Arctic air on the 18th and 19th. Brief warm-up around the 20th. Another Arctic push. Brief warm-up on the 23rd and 24th. Then Christmas, the 25th, brings a cool-down lasting through the 26th. Temperature swings of 30 to 40 degrees within a week. Some locations could see 50-degree swings if you compare the coldest morning to the warmest afternoon in this period. Your body doesn't adjust to that. Your heating system works overtime. Road conditions change daily. This is exhausting weather. But the real story starts around the 29th. And this is what I promised at 9 minutes. The models show a massive Arctic air mass moving in after Christmas, more similar to what we've seen recently in terms of intensity. And here's the kicker. A low-pressure system offshore bringing heavy snowfall to the mid-Atlantic and northeast. Now, we're talking about weather 8 to 9 days out. Specific details will change. They always do at this range. But the pattern signal is clear. The ingredients are assembling. Cold air returns after Christmas. Storm systems develop in that cold air, and the long-range teleconnections support this. The MJO, the Madden-Julian Oscillation. What's happening in the Arctic? It all points toward this warmer period from the 20th through Christmas being short-lived. At the 12-minute mark, I'll explain what teleconnections are telling us. But here's what you need to know about precipitation. The European model shows very elevated precipitation totals out west. The mountainous regions are getting hammered. Multiple feet of snow in the Cascades, the Rockies, the Sierra Nevada, storm after storm. The West is having an epic snow season for the mountains. The East? Acceptable precipitation amounts, but not super elevated, slightly below normal for most of the East, pretty far below normal for the Deep South, pretty far above normal out west. This makes sense given where the storm track is setting up. Total snowfall on the European model tells the story visually. With the relaxation of the jet stream, most storms are moving much further north. Snowfall chances move north with them. The Great Lakes get action. Canada gets buried. But the I-95 corridor and points south? Not seeing major snow in this pattern. At least not until after Christmas when things potentially change. Out west, the mountain ranges show impressive snowfall totals. Multiple feet. Some areas could see 5 to 10 feet by early January if this pattern holds. Ski resorts are ecstatic. The drought situation improves significantly. The GFS model agrees on the mountain snow, equally impressive totals. But it shows something else interesting. More southern storm action at times, especially later in the run. The eastern corridor looks interesting in the extended range. After Christmas, around the 29th and 30th, the GFS develops a significant coastal system. Again, we're looking very far out. These specifics will change. But it's a good sign that multiple models are picking up on increased storm potential post-Christmas. It's not just one model going rogue. There's agreement on the general pattern. As promised at 12 minutes, let's talk teleconnections. These are large-scale atmospheric patterns that influence our weather weeks in advance. The Madden-Julian Oscillation, or MJO, is currently in a phase that favors this up-and-down temperature pattern. Not purely warm, not purely cold, back and forth. The Arctic Oscillation shows what's happening with Arctic air. When it's negative, Arctic air can plunge deep into the lower 48. When it's positive, Arctic air stays locked up north. Right now, we're seeing signals that point toward a negative Arctic Oscillation developing after Christmas. That means Arctic air breaks loose and heads south. The North Atlantic Oscillation, NAO, works similarly. Negative NAO favors blocking patterns that allow cold air to dig into the eastern United States. We're seeing hints of this as well in the extended range. When you combine a negative Arctic Oscillation with a negative NAO and the MJO in a favorable phase, you get a recipe for significant winter weather in the east. Not a guarantee, but the odds increase substantially. At the 15-minute 30 mark, I'll give you the day-by-day forecast. But here's what the temperature anomalies show. Tonight and tomorrow, historic cold for some areas, 10 to 20 degrees below average. Some spots 30 degrees below average. This is intense Arctic air. Tuesday stays quite cold along the east. Not as extreme as Monday, but still well below normal. The 18th and 19th bring a milder push, 5 to 10 degrees above average in some areas, just enough to melt some snow and create slushy conditions. Then another Arctic air mass rushes in, below average again, brief warm-up follows, then another Arctic push. It's a roller coaster. The pattern around Christmas looks milder, above average for a few days, but it's short-lived. By the 28th or 29th, Arctic air tries to push down the east coast again, and if that coastal low develops like the models suggest, we could be looking at a significant snow event. The GFS model shows the same back and forth. Colder air, warmer air, colder air, warmer air. The specifics differ slightly from the European model, but the overall message is the same. Instability, volatility, rapid changes. Here's the 1530 forecast I promised. Day-by-day breakdown. Sunday night into Monday. Dangerous cold continues. Wind chills below zero for millions. Lake effect snow hammers the Great Lakes. Minor snow wraps up in the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. High temperatures struggle to reach the 20s for most areas. Single digits are widespread in the Midwest and Northern Plains. Tuesday, still cold but improving slightly. Clipper system brings light snow to the Great Lakes and Northeast, an inch or two in most spots. Nothing major. Western storm system begins organizing. Mountain snow starts in the Cascades and Rockies. Wednesday, less active in the east. Western storm intensifies. Heavy mountain snow continues. Temperatures moderate slightly in the east but remain below average. Good day for travel before things get active again. Thursday, this is the big day. 981 millibar low between Minnesota and Canada. Heavy snow for the northern plains, upper Midwest, and Great Lakes. 4 to 8 inches possible in the snowbands. Severe weather threat emerges in the deep south. Damaging winds possible. Temperatures surge ahead of the system. 50s possible in some southern areas. Then the cold front crashes through, dropping temperatures 20 to 30 degrees in just a few hours. Friday, Arctic air floods the eastern two-thirds of the country. Wind chills below zero return to the Midwest and Great Lakes. The east feels the bite. High temperatures only in the 20s for many. Any melted snow refreezes, creating ice. Travel becomes hazardous again. Saturday through Monday the 22nd. Cold persists but moderates. Another weak system possible for the Great Lakes. Mountain snow continues out west. Nothing major for most of the east during this period. Tuesday through Thursday, Christmas week. Brief warm-up. Temperatures climb above average. 40s and 50s return to many areas. Rain possible instead of snow if any systems move through. This is the milder window. Short-lived but noticeable. Friday the 26th through Sunday the 28th. Cool down begins. Not extreme cold yet. Just a return to more seasonable temperatures. Systems start organizing again for the pattern change. Monday, the 29th and beyond. This is where it gets very uncertain but potentially significant. Models show Arctic air returning, a coastal low possibly developing. Heavy snow potential for the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. This is 7 to 8 days out, so specifics will absolutely change, but the pattern supports it. The teleconnections support it. Multiple models are picking up on it. At the 19-minute mark, I'll give you the preparation checklist, but here's what the snowfall forecast shows for the next week. Northern Plains and Upper Midwest Thursday into Friday. 4 to 8 inches, locally up to 12 in the heaviest bands. This is the Thursday system I keep mentioning. It's significant. Great Lakes, lake effect adds another 6 to 12 inches in the traditional snow belts through the weekend. Persistent snow. Nothing blockbuster at once, but it adds up. Northeast. Minor accumulations through Wednesday. Maybe an inch or two from the Clipper Tuesday. Then quiet until potentially after Christmas. Mountain West. This is where the jackpot hits. 10 to 20 feet of snow by early January. Some resorts could see 30 feet if the pattern really delivers. This is generational snowfall for the high country. Mid-Atlantic and Northeast after Christmas. This is the question mark. If that December 29th system materializes, we could be talking about 6 to 12 inches for major cities. Maybe more, but again, it's far out. Don't make firm plans based on this yet. Just be aware it's showing up consistently. As promised at 19 minutes, here's your preparation checklist for the next 10 days. For the current cold snap through Tuesday, protect pipes, check heating systems, limit outdoor time, charge devices in case of power outages from lake effect snow. Stock up on essentials if you're in a lake effect zone. These bands can intensify quickly. For Thursday's storm, if you're in the northern plains or upper Midwest, prepare for significant snow. Have supplies for 1 to 2 days. Snow removal equipment ready. Travel will be difficult Thursday evening through Friday morning. If you're in the Deep South or Ohio Valley, monitor severe weather alerts Thursday evening. Damaging winds are the main threat, but storms could be intense. For the temperature swings, dress in layers. Roads will go from wet to icy and back repeatedly. Black ice is a major concern during these transitions. Morning and evening commutes could be treacherous, even on days that seem mild. For Christmas week travel, the brief warm-up should make travel easier. But monitor forecasts daily. The pattern is active. Systems can develop quickly in this setup. For post-Christmas, if you have travel plans for the 28th, 29th, or 30th, stay very flexible. The potential for a significant storm exists. It might not happen, but the odds are higher than zero. Check forecasts starting December 26th for updates on this potential system. At the 22-minute mark, I'll explain why this pattern creates stronger storms. But here's what you need to understand about model trends. The European model has been consistent about the overall pattern. Up and down temperatures, active storm track, multiple systems. What's changed in recent runs is the intensity. Systems are trending stronger at the last minute. The Thursday system went from a typical low to a 981 millibar beast in just 2 model cycles. The GFS model is more aggressive with individual systems but agrees on the general pattern. Both models show the post-Christmas period as potentially significant for the East. Both show continued heavy precipitation for the West. Both show this back-and-forth temperature regime. When models agree on the big picture but differ on details, trust the big picture. Expect active weather. Expect temperature swings. Expect travel disruptions. The specifics of exactly where each system tracks will come into focus as we get closer. Here's what I promised at 22 minutes. Why does this pattern create stronger storms? It's all about energy. When you have rapid temperature changes, you create temperature gradients. Strong gradients mean strong winds. Strong winds mean stronger low-pressure systems. Stronger lows mean more precipitation and more severe weather potential. In a stagnant pattern where it's just cold or just mild for weeks, storms struggle to develop. There's no energy, no contrast. But when you're swinging from Arctic air to mild air and back every few days, every boundary becomes energized. Every system has fuel. This is why the Thursday system is so intense. We're going from extreme cold to a milder push. That temperature contrast is massive. The jet stream responds by accelerating. Wind speeds at 30,000 feet could exceed 150 miles per hour. That kind of upper-level wind translates to strong surface systems. The same principle applies to the potential post-Christmas storm. If Arctic air is returning after a mild period, that boundary where they meet becomes a focus for development. Add moisture from the Atlantic, add the jet stream in the right position, and you get a major coastal storm. One more critical point at the 24-minute mark. Then I'll wrap up with tomorrow's update timing. Here's what most forecasts won't tell you. This pattern we're entering could last well into January. The teleconnections don't support a return to stable, quiet weather. They support continued volatility, more ups and downs, more storms, more rapid changes. January historically is the snowiest month for much of the East. If this volatile pattern continues into January with Arctic air readily available, we could see multiple significant snow events. Not just one, multiple. The ingredients are aligning. Arctic air in Canada, active storm track, temperature contrasts, moisture sources. Everything you need for a memorable winter is present. Whether it actually delivers remains to be seen. But the potential is there in a way it hasn't been most of this winter. As promised at 24 minutes, here's when to check back. Tomorrow's update will have the latest model runs. We'll know more about that Thursday system. Snowfall amounts will come into better focus. Severe weather parameters will be clearer. The timing of the coldest air will be refined. Wednesday's forecast will be crucial for the Thursday system. By then, we'll know if the 981 millibar low holds, or if it trends weaker. We'll know the exact track. We'll know who gets buried in snow and who just gets cold. Christmas week updates will focus on travel conditions and that potential post-Christmas system. By December 26th, we should have much better clarity on whether the 29th system is real or if models back off. This is the most active pattern we've seen all season. Multiple threats, multiple timeframes, constant changes. It requires daily monitoring. Conditions will shift, forecasts will evolve. What looks certain today might change tomorrow. But the big picture is clear. Winter is here, winter is active, and winter isn't done with us yet. The back and forth pattern creates opportunity. Opportunity for significant storms, opportunity for memorable weather, and opportunity for disruption. Stay informed, check forecasts daily, have backup plans for travel, be flexible. This is the kind of pattern that keeps meteorologists up at night because there's so much potential, so much energy, so much uncertainty about exactly where and when it all comes together. Tomorrow morning's update launches early. We'll dive deep into that Thursday system. Models update overnight. By morning, we'll have the latest data. Until then, prepare for the cold tonight. Prepare for the active week ahead. And prepare for a winter that finally decided to show up.